All right, just finished a pretty good day working pads. Thankfully, we got a little warmer weather. This is not like hot, but we needed something to be a little warmer, and got one about 25 minutes or so live, mostly situational stuff, end of a game, end of half, those kind of things. Thought we got better. And then we'll go, I think I mentioned yesterday, we'll go full pads again Thursday, have a long scrimmage on Saturday, and then try to get some semblance of a depth chart after that.
So, Rich, at this point, where do you have to still get better with 18 days or whatever left?
Well, we still had some self-inflicted penalties today. We had 2 procedure penalties when we went live. I think we had 2 holding penalties on the offense when we went live, and those are like turnovers. So those kinds of things we got to get fixed in a hurry. I think we threw I think we threw 2 interceptions, not maybe in live, but 2 interceptions during the team period, which were just weren't bad throws, were bad decisions kind of deal. So got to get all that cleaned up too. So it's still our problem. It's not a problem, but the thing I wrestle with is that if you got to get better running your plays, you got to run your plays. But we also have a lot of fundamental work to get done too. So, but I'm not a believer in a 3-hour practice to get it done. I think you got to get your work in, and then evaluate it, and then fix it the next day.
Those mistakes, typical camp mistakes, you see that normally at this time, or is it above and beyond?
Well, I think it's more typical. I want to blame it on the newness of learning, like learning the system. I'm just talking about offensively. I still think our quarterbacks are looking at our guys too much instead of looking at their guys when they're throwing. And that's a natural thing to drop back, and then, if it's man coverage, that's fine, look at our guys. But if it's a zone coverage, you better have your eyes on what they're doing and trust that our guys will be where they're supposed to be. And I think that's probably pretty typical of when you're in a new system. You want to make sure all of our guys are in the right spot and all that. So so much of the quarterback's decision-making is based on if his eyes are in the right spot.
Is a lot of that just a signifier of really good quarterback play? I mean, a lot of quarterbacks end up looking at the receiver, staring them down, being sure that they're open. Is making that next step you're talking about really when
it's trusting the route's going to be where they're supposed to be, and then also, you're constantly getting information from before the snap, at the snap, right after the snap, and it's all happening really quickly. I mean, for us, because we're faster, you don't have a lot. We're not standing back here for 10 seconds looking, and then after the snap, you're never going to have. You're going to have a couple seconds at the most after the snap, sometimes less than that. So you really got to process things quicker and be really comfortable with that. So that's the hesitation I mentioned before about we got a lot of good route packages that I want to put in, but heck, if we're not getting the other ones completely right, then I'm going to hesitate to do that.
Rich, has this all been faster or slower than you expected, and then how's it compared to years past?
It was probably faster overall in the spring, and I probably did too much. This is the same way. It's intentionally went slower because there's so many new guys, and then in fact I just put a note down that we got to meet the next couple of days offensively and say, okay, what we got to hone in on a little bit, because there's a couple things we have to put in, but there's a couple things we have in that I simply don't think we need, so I got to clean that up.
Rich, when you get tempo where you want it, how fast are you snapping plays? 15 seconds, 10, 5?
Yeah, 15 seconds. You could talk to the quarterback up until 15 seconds left on the clock, but we should never get to that unless it's the fourth quarter. Now, there are times where, if you go, and we like to go fast, if you go fast all the time, okay, they can kind of prepare for that. It's when they don't know when you're going fast and when they're not. It's, one of the main advantages the offense has is they know when you're going. So why would you ever let them get comfortable on defense about when you're going, right? I mean, just, when you're going and where you're going. right? And then the defense advantage is that they can move all 11 guys before the snap. But if offense can control when you're going, then we want to be able to use that variable as much as we can.
You're prepared for an opener. Do you usually go, this is what we're going to do to win the game? Whatever you have to do, maybe nothing more, nothing less. Is that how you approach it?
Well, we got to get, okay, what's your core? I mean, what's your, I don't know, people say identity, whatever that is. What do you know you can execute? And then are they going to let you execute that? Or are they just better than you, or they got a better idea to stop that? And so what are your answers? What we'll have on all offense, defense, and special teams, in every game we'll have what we call an answer sheet. When I have a play sheet, I'm not usually looking at it to call plays. If I got to look at it, I don't know my offense. You know what I mean? I may look at it for a special situation, but a lot of times I'm just covering my mouth because I don't want to see him cussing, reading my lips. I'm like, okay, it ain't for anything other than that. A lot of times, but in between, at halftime and certain breaks, we will look at what I call the answer sheet, and on all three phases. Where okay, this is if they're doing this is what our answers are. If they're doing this coverage, this is what our answers are, and that answer sheet gets built before the season. And then it's just kind of daily or weekly updated and all that. But what you have on your answer sheets, that's your kind of go-to things. If they do this, you do that. You know what I mean? So that answer sheet, per se, will be done 8 days before the first game.
Any special teams working today?
Yeah, we did. We did some fast field goal, end of half, end of game stuff we had to run on. We did that. We do field goal every day. We do punt almost every day. And then, punt block, and we've already installed kickoff return, but we've not gone live. I'm debating whether I want to go live with the kickoff return. I think you need to. I'm just debating how I want to get that done.
Hey, Rich, going back to the answer sheet, for as long as you've been doing this now, do you think you've seen every possible thing that they can try to do to you?
Yeah, and they're more creative, Tony, than they've ever been. Like you used to be able to just have to have like maybe 6 or 7 like categories, and now there's like 15. There's so many more different creative defenses. It's like just simply in the run game. You used to just fit, to fit the run game, like the backers fit here, the safety fits here, the D-line fit here. And then if your backside, just run, pursuit to the ball as fast as you can and watch the cutback. Now they fit the front side of the run one way, and then they'll fit the backside another way. And so it's a way more multiple each and every week than it ever used to be. It's funny just to watch some of the old clips or old film. It's just like, that's just a base defense. We'll never see that anymore. So you have to adapt. But offenses are a lot more creative. I don't know if creative is a word, or a lot more variety in what they're doing too than ever before.
The more times you're in full pads, are they getting better at the things you were upset about on the first day?
Well, I don't. We weren't getting enough push up front on the O-line. I don't know if today was a lot better, but might have been incrementally better. We still need to hit the hole. I think sometimes the backs are hesitant because we're, whether they're still figuring out the thing or, trusting the block. And so, our guys will hit it at times, but not all the time. So I think there's a trust factor in running certain plays and hitting the holes as fast as we would like.
You were talking about the quarterback reading the defense rather than what he's telling guys. Take me through a normal RPO play and all the kind of reads he has to make. I mean, it sounds like it takes 3 years to figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you and sometimes we coaches, and I've been guilty of it too, make it too complicated. In other words, there are a lot of plays that we do, and we've been doing it for a long time. It's like he's going to hand it off, he's going to keep it. He could throw it over here, or he could throw it over there, and that's 4 options on a lot of plays. And the only guy that decides where to go to it is the quarterback, right? Depending on how they're playing. but it's not multiple reads at the same time. It might be that read first and then progresses to that read second. Or it might be just that single read before the snap, and then he makes a decision on whether I'm running it or throwing it. So the RPO world has grown in the last 10 years enormously, you know, where before you just, and for us, you used to hand it off, keep it, or throw a bubble screen, right? And now you can throw anything that's in your quick game, you know, whether it's slant routes or vertical routes or any kind of routes that you want that you use in your quick game, you can actually tag on to your run game. But you have to have communication with the O-line when you're going to throw, because you want them to be downfield. We got 3 yards, right? They can go downfield. And then there are some things where you don't have to tell the O-line at all because the ball's out so quick. So all those play in a factor into the design of the play. And then what you got to do for your quarterback is you got to make sure you don't make it so hard on him that he's got to look here and he's got to look here and he's got to, you know what I mean? That he's got multiple places to look. That his eyes after the snap are in one general direction. Is if you have him looking 2 different things, he'll be late or he won't be able to execute it. That makes sense.
Did the RPO come about because of the defenses or because of the change in the style of quarterbacks that you get?
I think a little bit of both. The zone read stuff, that was part of it. I think the RPO part of it became just as people think, well, you know, what if what if we did this? I don't know if we were early in when we were doing it, but you know, it's just become, you know, there's the necessity is the mother of invention, right? So you get a lot of, you know, it used to be you'd study the NFL and see what they're doing, and then the college guys start doing that, and then high school guys start doing that. And really it's more involved from high school and college guys, and the NFL's copying those guys a little bit. Because high school coaches especially have to be really creative because they got what they got. You know, most of them can't recruit, some of them do, but they got what they got. So they've got to be creative. Like, how do I got this, you know, 195-pound dumpy center that's 5'6", and he can snap the ball and get run over slowly, but he ain't moving nobody. You know what I mean? So how do I still I got to play him. How do I still use him and be effective? And so you get a lot of creativity, I think, from the lower levels up, and that's what's happened in the last 20 years.
Early in your career, I guess, did you ever think about coaching high school?
I think when my very first, I was just looking for a job anywhere. And then I was a student assistant here, and then I was, then my first kind of like really have a position was at Salem College as an assistant with Corky Griffith, and I was coaching the defensive backs and the special teams, and was recruiting coordinators, equipment managers, a strength coach, an assistant trainer, and I think I got $2,500 for the year, and I lived in a little cabin in the attic with Lonnie Warwick, who was the defensive coordinator. He's the old Minnesota Viking. Remember Lonnie? So we couldn't afford anything. So Tom Gandy, who I coached with and played with here, he was so we both lived in the. It was like an attic, you know. It was like just a carpet, and put a mattress on the floor, and had one bathroom in the whole cabin, and that was our. And we both got. I think we both got $250 a month for 10 months.
The first play call you had at Salem, does it still exist in your offense?
Well, I didn't run. And I was at Salem. I was.
Or your first head coaching, when you first played.
Yeah, when I was a head coach at Salem that first year, I was running defense. I didn't do anything with the offense. And then I came here as a volunteer coach in '89, and I was a volunteer for Bill Kralavich. You know, my man Bill. Bill was an outside linebackers coach, so I just helped him, and I didn't get paid anything. And I taught driver's ed at North Marion, and I did bus duty at North Marion. They let me do bus duty in the morning to help kids get off the bus. That way I could leave early at the school, like at 1:30, and I made it just in time for practice. I had 3 lights I had to get green. If one of them turned red, it's going to be tight. But if they all were green, I could make it here just in time so that's what I did. And then the next year is when I went to Glenville, and that's when I decided, like, you know, they were like shut out 6 times or something. I'm like, let's just run a 2-minute drill the whole time and spread them out and get in a shotgun, and that's when this offense kind of like
So
took
does
off.
that first play call still exist in your
Got
offense?
got through a 12-yard hook route for a first down, and there's only 500 people in the stands, and I'm related to 400 of them, and I got a standing ovation, and I'm like, hell, I ain't never leaving. This place is perfect. I stayed there 7 years.
You mentioned returners. Are you
Yeah.
working the same guys at punt and kick, and are there different skill sets you're looking for?
We are working as far as the kickers and punters.
No, returners.
There are some the same, some different. Yeah, there's a couple guys that are kick returners that are not punt returners, but we have several candidates for punt return.
Rich, this might be a better question tomorrow since you went pads today, but I'm thinking about the first day and you didn't have guys who got through practice because they wouldn't visit the trainer. Have you learned or seen more about resilience from, you know, padded practices to getting back in the field or not going out? Has that been more pleasing to you?
Yeah, I think I don't think it was ever like guys were not intentionally practicing. And our training staff, our medical staff, they do a great job. I mean, no coaches. I mean, like I said, we never get in the middle of that. The trainers tell us who could go, who can't go, and then they go from there. But our guys have done a good job of not just being there for treatment, but really getting extra work during the day to get healthy. And our training staff does a great job, and our guys have done a good job. First off, their strength staff did a job, pretty good shape, and then our guys want to. I don't think we have guys, anybody wanting to sit out. So they're all eager to prove themselves.
Okay, thank you very
All
much.
right.